Hello, today I'm going to be showing you how to configure OpenDDS to run the Manatees Team Whisper software engineering project. I'm going to go through installing OpenDDS and setting up the project from scratch. So first we're going to go to opendds.org. We're going to go to download 3.18.1.zip for Windows. I'm going to download that here. We're going to move it from my downloads. It's still downloading. And I'm going to move it to where I keep all of the code on my computer. Give that a second to process. There we go. I'm going to unzip it. I'm going to extract the files here. Next, we have to configure it and build the solution. You can see it's installed right here. In order to configure it and install the solution, we're going to open up Visual Studio 2019. I've tried building OpenDDS 3.18.1 with Visual Studio 2022, I think it was, and it didn't work. So we're going to be using version 2019. We're going to open up a developer command prompt here at the top. And we're going to cd to that directory where we just installed it. Okay, now that we're here, we're going to run configure. And we're going to let that run. This will take a couple of minutes. The main one that takes a little while to configure is when you build the actual solution. And when I build the actual solution, I will probably cut the footage and cut to when it's done building. In the meantime, if you want to use Whisper yourself, you're going to need a Yelp Fusion API key. Every API key is specific to each developer's account. So while this configures or while your OpenDDS is building, you can go to Yelp Fusion and you can sign up for an account, etc., and get your own API key. But for now, we're going to wait for this to be done configuring. It asks to download and extract some different packages and build everything ready to be, it has to build everything so that it is ready to be built. And once it's built, we can start to use OpenDDS in our projects. All right, it just finished configuring. So now we're going to go ahead and set the environment by running setenv.cmd. That's going to blurt out your entire path file, but then you're going to run devenv and then it's dds_tal, and it tries to default to this MWC file, but you want to do the solution. That's going to open another Visual Studio command prompt, and it's going to have like a whole bunch of different solutions. There's like 70 or something over here, or maybe it's over here for you. It'll open up. We're going to give this a second, and this is what typically takes a while. So while this builds, we're going to clone the Whisper repo as well. So yep, this is here. We're going to go to build solution, and that is going to take a little while to do. So while this goes, we're going to navigate to the Git repo. It might look a little different from you where it's at currently, but we're going to clone this repo. So we're just going to grab this link, and wherever you want to save it, we're going to open up a git bash or PowerShell or whatever you do to clone your repos, and we're going to type in git clone right here. It's going to clone that. All right, and there we go. It's cloned. We can close that. It's titled SWE Manatees. And as of right now, it should give you the README, which has all of these instructions as well that I wrote out. And it has all of the client files that you'll need, besides that key that we'll need, the Yelp Fusion API key. And it also has the GUI files. The GUI and the client aren't communicating right now. They are both independent of each other. We did not have enough time to get them working. So you can launch up the GUI if you have Qt Creator installed to play with like the different buttons and drop downs, but note that clicking any of them, nothing will happen with the logic on the back end. We're going to be using strictly the CLI for this. So we've got this cloned. We're going to, in the client folder under Whisper, we're going to make a new text file, and it has to be called key.txt because if we open, where's publisher.cpp? Publisher.cpp, if we open this with Notepad, you can see that it reads in from a file stream right here, a file called key.txt. So it has to be called that. So I'm going to grab my API key really quick. You'll do file save, and that's it for that. You can see this is still building. And now, because this is still building, we're not going to do anything with Whisper quite yet. We're just going to leave this here, and we're going to go back to Visual Studio, and we're just going to wait for this to finish building. Like for configure, I'm going to speed this up or cut to when it's done. And it finally finished. You can tell how long it took by the time in the bottom right-hand corner, but you can see that all 77 packages were built. None of them failed, none are up to date, all that good stuff. Before we leave this, I just recommend that you right-click on Messenger Zero Copy Publisher, and then just click on Set a Startup Project. Then we can close both of our instances of Visual Studio, and we can close this command prompt as well. We're going to go into where we downloaded the repo at, and we're going to go into Client Whisper, and we're just going to do a Control-A, Control-C, and then we're going to head into where we have our OpenDDS downloaded at. We're going to go into Dev Guide Examples, DCPS, Messenger Zero Copy, and we're going to do a Control-A, Control-V. We're going to click on Replace these files, and we should be good to run now. So in order to run the project, you will have to use the bat files we wrote. These bat files, we tried to generalize them as much as possible, but you can see that it just calls the specific function that it CDs back up, that it calls the set environment. You don't have to use these bat files. You can open up a new Visual Studio command prompt every time and set the environment every time if you want, or like say for example you don't have Visual Studio installed on your C drive, it's on like your D drive, you can alter these if you want. But we're going to launch server.bat, and now our locally hosted server is running. I believe it runs on port 12345. We can minimize that guy. Then we can launch publisher.bat, and it will prompt us for a search term, and we can open subscriber.bat. So let's bring these around and organize them a bit. So as for our subscriber, let's say we want to listen to specifically for coffee types. We're going to click allow access to any of these Windows firewall pop-ups. There we go. Now it's listening for coffee. This subscriber is going to sit idle until it receives a message. As for our publisher, let's say we want to publish coffee restaurants, coffee shops to our subscribers online. We can search for coffee. We can enter in T for town search. We'll search for Glassboro because that's the name of the town that our university is in. And we'll send them 10 responses. And then as for the radius, so there's an optional parameter for Yelp Fusion where you can send a radius in which you want the shops to be in. So if we're doing a town search, it finds like the midpoint of that town, and you can do a radius in miles, max to a 25-mile radius. If you don't give this a parameter, it will just return the closest results. So you can do that by entering 0. And we want to allow access still to our publisher to send requests. And if you look here, our results were not only outputted to our publisher, but also to our subscriber. You can see they're the exact same thing. We have End Grain Coffee Roasters. You can see that it's open right now. It has 4.5 stars, 70 reviews, its phone number, how far away it is from Glassboro as a whole, and its address. And it does that for every single one. If it's missing a field, like we can see Milkweed, Table, and Market, that just leaves a blank line. Looks pretty cool. Okay, let's say we want to send another response. We'll hit yes. And let's say instead of coffee, we want to send burgers. Because I'm kind of hungry, I could go for a burger. Let's send burgers. We'll do another town search, because I don't really know any lat longs off the top of my head. We'll do Glassboro again. And we'll send just 5 this time. And we'll do the closest results. Now, as you can see right now, nothing is happening, and that is because there are no subscribers online listening for burger results. This guy, remember, he's only listening for coffee. He's not going to receive any burger results. So if we go ahead and launch another subscriber and drag them over to here, we can type in burgers, and as soon as we enter that, that result's going to get published to both our publisher and subscriber. Burger Bar, Smash Burger, Original Hot Dog Factory, etc., etc. And here they are. Return to our subscriber as well. If we want to close everything down, we can type in no, and that will go away. Everything close. And as for our locally hosted server, it's still running in the background. We can just kill that as well. So that is how to run the program locally. If you want to take a look at the code, you can, let's see here, open up Visual Studios. We can do continue without code. We're going to open a command line, developer command prompt right here. And then we're going to cd to where we have OpenDDS installed. And we can now do dev env dds tau dot solution. It will open up another Visual Studio command prompt. And here's our default messenger 0 copy publisher. That's where we pasted in our project. We can go to source files, and we can take a look at the code here if you want, etc., etc. Here are our input prompts, all that good stuff. So that's how you set this up and run it locally. If you have any questions, you can message me. This video is going to be pinned in the GitHub README. So yeah, thanks for watching. Have a good one.